We are right at 3 o'clock. I do want to honor everyone's time. This is being recorded, so we would love if you were to share this with people in your network. And so I will begin with an introduction of myself, a bit of a brief, warm welcome, and introduce Mr. Michael Howard, who is the Executive Director of Fuller Park Community Development and the CEO of Eden Place Farms and Eden Place Nature Center. And so just to do a little bit of orientation of Zoom, everyone is, or I do ask that everyone remain on mute through the presentation. We will have opportunities for you all to come off mute and ask questions. We do ask that you reserve your questions until the end of the presentation. However, feel free to put them directly into the chat box. You can even like go into the little chat area and send them to me if you think that you're going to forget them. So don't feel as though you have to hold them, but we will be responding to them later in the presentation. With that, I'd like to welcome you all to our virtual open house. I deeply appreciate you all showing up, taking some time out of your day to learn about this opportunity and a little bit about Eden Place Farms and Eden Place Nature Center and the Southside, Chicago Southside Farmers Association. My name is Dr. Mila Kellen Marshall. I have been associated or affiliated with Eden Place and Mr. Howard and Fuller Park Community Development since 2009. It's been I didn't realize how long that was. But my background is in urban agriculture, and I serve as the coordinator of this program. So I'm really proud to be a part of this. Mr. Howard has been one of the most consistent environmental advocates in the city of Chicago. I don't know if you've ever heard of Eden Place Nature Center or Fuller Park Community Development, but Fuller Park is is the smallest community in Chicago of the 77. We used to be in one ward. It's been split up into two. There are two sites that are affiliated with our properties. One is the Nature Center and one is Eden Place Farms and Learning Center. And so it is a huge honor to see this site and this program evolve out of the many years of programming, both environmental and agricultural, especially to help produce a local food economy. And with that, I would like to introduce Mr. Michael Howard from the organization, and he will have a brief presentation, and then I will take over talking about some specific logistics of the application process and what it is that we're trying to accomplish with this pilot program over the 2024 growing season. And so with that, Mr. Howard.
Well, I'd like to say good evening, good afternoon to everyone who showed up today. Thank you very much for coming and finding out more about the Southside Farmers Growers Association. So what we're going to talk about today basically is a new vision that we have at Eden Place Farms for all of Chicago. Even though we call ourselves the Southside Farmers Association, we're talking about all of Chicago. And so I'm going to dive right in because we're not going to keep you long, because this is just the main first event that we're going to have of many. And we're going to do more in person at the farm in terms of training people, in terms of getting people the resources that they need to, be better farmers, better business people, and have better programs that help them become more financially stable. And I want you to keep that in mind, that we're really talking about the money here. This is not going to be a program where we meet to meet. This is going to be a program that we're coming together so that everybody can grow and learn how to make their businesses more profitable. But also everybody's coming together to share the wealth of knowledge that exists here in our great city. And we want to bring everybody up at the pace that's most comfortable for all of you. Some of you may just be starting. Some of you may be seasoned professionals. And I want to thank you for coming and thinking about, considering partnering with us. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started. So again, the Southside Farmers Association basically is a program that we're hoping you will become part of. So in today's agenda, you've already been welcome. We're going to go through some introductions. We're going to talk about the vision, and then we're going to have questions and discussions. Then we'll end on next steps that those that want to be involved will be hopefully bringing to the forefront and putting their suggestions on the table. So I have to start at the beginning. Kellen kind of alluded to the fact that she's been around, she says, since 2009. I can't believe that much time has passed when she first came to us. And it's just been a charm working with her over the years in more than one capacity. She has led many programs at Eden Place. She has been a champion. And I just want to say thank you, Kellen, for being there for us still. So Fuller Park Community Development is 30 years old. We were founded 30 years old by Amelia and Michael Howard. And basically, our mission has not changed. It's been the same mission all 30 years. Our mission is to improve the quality of life for our neighbors through education and relevant programming that all the communities are in need of. Now, Fuller Park Community Development serves as the umbrella organization for various community programs. We have Eden Place Nature Center, our 20-year-old award-winning nature center teaching environmental education and environmental stewardship and championing environmental justice causes. We have South Point Academy, which at one time was Chicago's oldest job skills training program, teaching men and women off the street out of incarceration how to basically build a home. And so Eden Place has worked very hard building South Point Academy over the years. And a lot of those graduates today make more money than Mr. Howard. We also have been a food pantry for many, many years, supplementing the income of senior citizens, providing hot meals during COVID. My wife and I, and along with our other volunteers, actually hand delivered many, many, many meals to a lot of seniors during COVID because of all of the things that had gotten shut down. And then we come to Eden Place Farms, one of our actual newest programs. It's only about going on 9 years old, where we have been building out a brand new parcel of land, 3.5 acres at 49th and Shields, into a nice urban farm that people can come and buy fresh produce at. I want to talk about my team here, and we are only going to be showing the team that's relevant to this program. I want to just introduce you to Miss Amelia Howard, the co-founder of all that you see in Prevail. You've already met Dr. Marshall and how she basically is serving as the CSFA coordinator for this program. And then there's Ariel Howard, who has been serving as our educational coordinator. She is a former Chicago public school teacher, providing great curriculum that is relevant to the children of Chicago. Okay. Now, what is the vision of the Southside Farmers Association? Fuller Park Development's vision is to curate and organize local urban growers in Chicago into the Chicago Southside Farmers Association, CSFA, an organized collective, okay, that we hope will strengthen our individual farms and build an organization that has more leverage in selling direct to consumers and to local retail while providing jobs and to local area residents. That's the vision. And that's what we're going to be delving into tonight. And hopefully later on, when we get to the discussion part, you can bring even more, hopefully, to that vision and make it even stronger and more precise as to what we should be doing. So why should you join Chicago Southside Farmers Association? The main reason is there is strength in unity. And if you don't believe that, then something went awry in your upbringing, because those things that have been able to be put into a group those organizations that have been able to put together a coalition, they've been able to prosper. And that's one of the things I want to talk about today. I got an example of just one group that I want to show you today that in 2013, they decided they would come together and form a corporation, a not-for-profit, and it's called Avocados Mexico. The story began in 2013 when the avocado farmers, they got together and forged a historic partnership with themselves, with importers, and with distributors, okay? And they found distributors in Mexico, and they found distributors in the US that look like them to create a not-for-profit marketing organization that spreads the good news about the avocados that they grow. And so, you know what? They've been doing tremendous growth since 2013 as a collective. And I want to show you how they did it. Their parent organizations, they are basically made up of two main organizations, the Packers, APEAM, and the Mexican Hass Avocado Importers Association. The two entities collectively represent these folks. They represent, for farmers, more than 34,000 Mexico avocado growers across more than 40,000 orchards in Mexico. They also represented on the other side by the packers. There are 84 packing houses in Mexico representing the packers. There is also the distribution system that we will get to. They came together and they did what they had to do to increase their product exposure in the United States because they saw us as the biggest market for their product. And guess what they did? They increased their production and their output by 1,000-fold with their new concept and collective. So I want you to watch how they built their brand. I'm going to show you a video and you take a look at this and listen very closely so that you can understand why I'm showing you this, because I'm showing you how people came from a small background and built something really big.
We are avocados from Mexico. We are passionate brand builders, culinary experts, extraordinary storytellers, marketing disruptors, and overachievers with a creative mind, bold goals, and a restless drive. We work hard and have fun while staying unwaveringly passionate about accomplishing the seemingly impossible. We are strategic category catalysts, driven by making a difference for our industry, for our consumers, and for the thousands of growers, packers, and importers who trust us with the fruit of their labor. They are our motivation and our inspiration to pursue the kind of breakthrough innovation that pushes boundaries and breaks the produce mold. As responsible category leaders, we placed value over price in our consumers' mind because we firmly believe that there's nothing like an avocado. Our recipe: educate, educate, educate. Never settle, always be first, and think big. Ultimately, brands are the people who build them, and ours is as unique as each of us and as diverse as our team, which is made up of the best people in the industry. That is why after each win, we proudly celebrate, improve, and repeat to continue changing the game forever. Within our colorful diversity, one thing stands out as a consistent reminder of who we are as a culture and as a brand, and that is the vibrant magic of Mexicanity at our core. Avocados from Mexico, always in season.
Avocados from Mexico.
Now, what you just witnessed was a brand that was developed, and let me show you some of the impact. Look at that graphic on the left. They started in 2013, where they provided a tax base that was only 17% of $1 billion. Now that tax base has grown to $1.3 billion in tax revenue for their local economies. The income from their growing was less than $1 billion in 2013. And now labor income has been increased to $3.9 billion in labor income being taken home by the Mexican workers. Their value-added GDP went from 1.2 billion to 6.1 billion. That's 408% increase. Now their national output went from $1.7 billion a year in 2012 all the way to $11.2 billion in 2022. That's a 559% increase in their output. 559% output and increase. And what gave them that opportunity to make that type of increase? It was because they sold their brand to the American economy, and now they represent over 80 to 85% of all avocados being eaten in America, people. That is what I call success. Not only do they provide jobs in Mexico, they also provide 58,299 jobs right here in America in their distribution system. They provide direct and permanent jobs upwards to 78,000 jobs in Mexico and more than 300,000 indirect and seasonal jobs from their new endeavor that they started back in 2012. The avocado supply from Mexico and the US has jumped to more than 2 billion pounds per year since 1997 and 4.4 billion pounds in the last 2 years alone. Listen, people, that's what I call a success story. And how did they do that? They basically built their own capacity. And that's something that we want to do for everyone who agrees to come and work alongside us with the Southside Farmers Growers Association. We want everyone's capacity to be improved, your occupational capacity, so that you can do your programs well, you can plan them well, you know how to evaluate them to make even more improvements. We want to have an adaptive captivity, and it refers to the way you're able to adapt to change. Just like COVID made us adapt to work from home. It made us adapt to know how to basically keep ourselves safe from any potential harms. Businesses need to learn how to adapt to do the same. There's financial management that we want to share with each other, best practices, so that our competence in our not-for-profits and for-profits, the way that they manage their finances is a good way, and that makes them know what their future looks like and know how to make course corrections. There's strategic planning that I have a hard time doing all the time, making sure that I have a strategic plan, sticking to it, follow through, and execute it. And so working collaboratively, I do believe we can share all of these best practices that will help us all build our capacity in communication, even in our board leadership. How about our mission? Do you really know what your mission is? Do you stick with your mission? How about staff management? That's very big and very important when you're talking about farms and growing food, staff. Now, there's a couple of points I want you to remember, and then I'm going to end. I want you to remember that what made them very successful is their brand. And I'm hoping we can build a brand on those same key points. Those key points where where we're going to say we value our product over our price. We're going to say we educate, educate, educate. And we're going to be educating each other, reaching out for more experienced people and getting more education. Another thing we want to do is we want to never settle for less. We're going to also be number one. If we're going to do this, let's be number one. Let's think big. All right. Guess what? Brands are only as good as the people who build them. We're looking for good people to build a good and a great brand. And doing all of this, I want you to start thinking of yourselves. We are going to be game changers. Don't forget that. Game changers. So our mission as of today is a work in progress here. We're trying to organize urban growers in Chicago into Chicago's Southside Farmers Association, an organized collective that will be strengthening our individual member farms and build an organization that has more leverage in selling to local grocery stores and providing jobs to local area residents. That's our mission, which is in a work in progress. So please, if you can figure out a way to make it better, we want to hear. We definitely want to hear. So I want to leave you with this last thought. One of America's best, I would say the world's best known entrepreneurs ever had a famous quote. And his quote was, "The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing." And that was Mr. Walt Disney, ladies and gentlemen. So today I'm asking you to please, let's start doing and making a better tomorrow for all of us. Thank you from Michael and Amelia Howard. And now I'm going to turn it back over to my good friend, Dr. Marshall. It's yours.
Thank you. I'm like, oh, it's telling me to do something. All right, I'm just going to start to share my screen. I have to do it like this. Hope you all enjoyed that inspirational invitation from Mr. Howard. Okay, get that off there. All right, so before I begin, I just kind of want to do some level setting for why me. I actually was the first environmental biology major to graduate from Chicago State in 25 years. And so when I graduated, there were no programs. And so if you think about back in 2009, 2010, Chicago had one Whole Foods. We were celebrating like a Starbucks being brought onto the south side of Chicago. Sustainability wasn't a word. Environmental injustice wasn't really a buzzword. We could not afford organic, nor did we really understand what it meant. And so at that time, I was a bit kind of alone in a lot of different ways. I started a lawn care company, which was an organic lawn care company. So I have and am a small business owner. I do consider myself a green business because we used organic practices before I closed the business down. But it took another 10 years for another Black-owned organic lawn care company to evolve. My background and my PhD is focused on urban agriculture in segregated cities. And it is really important for us to understand how is it that we take the idea of urban agriculture and turn it into what it is that we believed it could be. We say that it can improve the health and well-being of our most vulnerable communities, whether that is through improving derelict land or creating employment opportunities. And there are some unique challenges to people growing in cities. Lots of them, and I'm going to kind of get into that. But I do want to, again, say thank you for even coming here to our virtual open house, to learning about the benefits of a program like this and being interested in monetizing your harvest. And so I just also have to say thank you to our sponsors, both Faith in Place and the Chicago Region Food System Fund, who have provided supports, financial and otherwise, so that we can get to this point. All right, so first of all, what is a farm business? One of the things that I really realized that people who are new to the agricultural ecosystem it's separate from how farmers talk. And so this is an agribusiness. It includes management, production, marketing of agricultural commodities, as well for livestock and crops. I do not believe that we're doing animals at this moment. Is that right, Mr. Howard? We're not doing like eggs. We may evolve into that after the pilot project, but I believe for this first round, we're simply focusing on crops. Agricultural businesses include resource management, farm, conservation, ranching, sales. This may seem like a bit overwhelming, and it is for one person to do. We want to make sure that everybody understands that's what we're trying to address. Is there is power in numbers, but we can share resources, make it easier for people to learn and implement by sharing those resources. So this is from just for some level setting about why it is that participating in a association like this could benefit you. Think about what it is that you do in a day. If you, and you can use the chat box, and just yes or no. Do you have a full-time job in agriculture? Just yes or no. And the reason why I say that is if you're spending 40%, well, not 40 hours of your work week, 100% of your work week focused on something else, you're not learning how to grow food and you're not learning how to manage a agribusiness. And so based on my results from my PhD, most people get their information from the internet. But what do we know about the internet? You can find misinformation. It could be accurate for one farmer in Indiana and be completely inaccurate for a farmer on the Southside in Bronzeville. And so we want to help people by making sure you have accurate information. Lots of people read books. Again, some things are out of date. Climate change is very real. Many people take advantage of free resources. Again, sometimes it's a mismatch for where it is that you're growing or the space and the issues that your site is experiencing. Maybe you're located next to a transportation corridor. Maybe you're dealing with a spot that's next to a factory. Most people are mentored, right? So over 50% of the growers that responded to this survey are mentored by someone else. But again, that mentorship may not be expert mentorship, or it may. People do typically retain practices. And so I won't get into like what the graph means, but usually people stick with learning from the internet and from books. They don't typically say, oh, I'm not learning in that way anymore. But very few people pay to learn how to grow food. I went the wrong way. Another thing is practices. And so what this shows is if a grower uses a practice now, used it in the past, never used it, but plans to, or is unfamiliar. Why am I sharing this with you? You may not understand how to execute the management practices for the things that you want to grow or even someone else. We want to make it easy for you all, meaning we're not just going to throw people out to the wolves and say, hey, grow it and figure it out. No, we are here to help support with testing, with making sure that your site can accommodate in terms of what it is that we brokered to be grown, as well as making sure that you are fully supported and you're not moving beyond your capacity. Has anybody ever seen an urban garden or a school garden that was over ambitious? They have a 25 by 125 lot and people are really excited and they're planning on doing hoop houses and they're planning on, doing transplants. But what does that require? Time, talent, consistency. There might be some practices that are unfamiliar to you. And so we want to make sure that our growers are supported and we're matching the crops that we're growing appropriately, not just with the acreage or the land space, but also with skill sets. But people tend to use compost, for example, but few people understand how to use cold frames and do season extension. So we want to make sure those that are participating in the program have an opportunity to, again, increase their skill set directly to making sure that whatever they do is increasing the productivity of their grows and resulting in an increase in profits. So our why, I think what all of us are seeking to agree upon is we want to grow with the intention to sell. I mean, it hurts me so bad to see harvests just falling down into the earth with nowhere to go. Traditional farming is like this. If I don't have a buyer, that field is staying with a cover crop until there's someone who's going to pay for the final harvest. It isn't let me see what people will buy. It is very intentional. So we want to bring that to this program. We want to increase efficiency to increase profits. Just because you have more land doesn't mean that you have more profits. If you think about it, you have more products that you have to sell, that you have to harvest, that you have to store, that you have to transport. And if you have you ever gotten a gift that wasn't really a gift because you couldn't use it? Right? You're like, oh, I love this. My mother bought me like a 20-pound turkey. I didn't have a freezer big enough to fit that turkey in. So suddenly it didn't become a gift, it was a burden. So we want to make sure that we're helping people use the space that they have and increase the efficiency to increase profits. We want to generate income. We want to understand, what does that model look like? What types of inputs are required? How is it that we broker the conversation with the buyers? What are the types of commodities that are the most profitable for small micro agribusinesses? It might be unreasonable to think that we can compete with, growers in Mexico for tomatoes, for example. However, if there is a chef or a restaurant that wants to do a very personalized or custom pepper sauce, oh, we can provide the peppers for you to do a small batch, very similar to craft beer. So we're open to exploring, how do we create an economy and what does that look like? But most definitely, we want to identify commodities that we can make money off. Growers can make money off of, as well as the end buyers. We want to create a viable business model. We want to create jobs. And so the genesis of our economy is we are an agricultural system. The state of Illinois makes billions of dollars selling corn, wheat, and soil, right? Not soil, corn, wheat, and soy. We know that those commodities can be turned into secondary products: food, fiber, and fuel. That's the mentality that we have to think about or think with. So we know that there are people that need to be hired to grow the food, to make sure that the pests are not eating the products. There are people that are hired to make sure that the soil is healthy. There are people to harvest. There are people that drive the trucks to transport. There are people that pull those products out and move them into storage and clean them for processing. There are people that manufacture it and change it into a secondary product. And then there are people that are on the floor that are selling. And so all of those spaces allows for people to be employed. And we want to help people transition from being a hobbyist to being what I call a micropreneur. We want to see this grow. We do realize that it is a small business, a micro business, but there are very few programs like this that help farmers or growers move into being small businesses in a way that makes sense, where you can transfer your skills from learning how to sell and create a business plan from this sector over into another industry. So what is our role as Eden Place Farms? So we are going to be providing 4 on-site workshops, for example, for those who are accepted into the program. We will be providing nutrient management support, pest management support, as well as helping growers do data collection for decision-making. Again, you're not kind of thrown out into the program just figuring it out on your own. You will be guided every step of the way. You will be instructed on what it is that you are to grow. The cultivar, whether it is going to be from transplant or from seed, you will be given very specific instructions on how to maintain your site. And then there will be some agreements on how it is that we will check to make sure that your site is doing as well as we believe it should be, so that we can harvest and we can deliver to the end buyer who is expecting a certain quality, a certain volume, but also with the understanding that there are some things we can't control unless you have a full indoor grow. And even when you have that, climate, weather, pests, rodents, theft, There are some risks associated with open air growing, but we seek to work with growers to manage those risks appropriately. We also will be providing logistics and resources. So coordinating what is to be grown, assisting with harvest, storage, and transport, as well as help identifying additional resources. So for example, our close friends at Sunshine Enterprise, that is a small business incubator for those who are brand new to entrepreneurial life. You may feel as though you need an extra, some extra knowledge on how to operate a business, like the basics. Introducing you all to them and placing you into cohorts while you're preparing to execute the growing season, which isn't until 2024, may make sense for you. Identifying composting resources and making sure that they get delivered. And so kind of growing your garden or farm network. So for growers, the requirements and how we connect, basically you all are responsible for preparing your site, participating in workshops, using best management practices, allowing access to your site, of course, agreed upon times for us to participate and see what's going on and support you. All members must commit to being GAP certified. That is, Mr. Howard, it stands for what? Growing agricultural
growing agricultural practices.
Yes,
practices.
Best practices. It's a B in there. The types of buyers we're looking to connect with are small businesses. They are passionate about supporting local growers. They're willing to brand craft products that are in support of this association and really in alignment with sustainable food systems. They may be interested in having a private farmer to grow specialty crops, which is the beautiful part about this program. There might not be seeds available for, Mr. Howard used a perfect example about callaloo. No one's growing that, and it's really hard to source. Can we grow that on our sites? How much can we grow, and can we satisfy the volume of that buyer? People can have heirloom varieties that no other business has. And so we're also able to pitch the customization of growing for some of these small businesses where there can be a specialty hibiscus chocolate mint tea that you can't get anywhere else in the Midwest because we're the only ones growing these varieties, and that buyer is the only one that has an access to that product. These are buyers that want to increase the support of employing people, maybe even justice impacted people. So creating jobs that individuals can enter with low barriers of entry, and businesses that care about their carbon footprint, because we're not moving food and products from other parts of the world to come here to Chicago. All right, so the application details, it's a very simple application. If you have already filled it out, thank you so very much. It is open right now until December 2nd, 11:59 p.m. It's less than 15 questions. It's just yes or no or multiple choice, and there is one open-ended just asking why it is that what you feel you would benefit from participating. We then will review the applications beginning December 3rd. And applicants will be notified of being invited as soon as December 17th. Oh, and I do want to mention that those who have been invited there for the review process, there will be an interview and a site visit so that we can put our eyes on the growing area that you are proposing. And then, yeah. Oh, so I also want to quickly drop in the chat box a link to both the application. This was on the plugger that you all may have seen. So this is the link to the application. And then also I would love for you all to very quickly fill out a survey link that I'll be sharing in a couple of seconds. Good Agricultural Practices is a voluntary certification. It was developed by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, which is a federal agency, in 1985. These are the folks that are responsible for our, every 4 or 5 year farm bill. It provides the guidance for growers to prevent on-farm contamination of fruits and vegetables. So when we said you must be willing to be GAP certified, there will be instructors from USDA and other experts coming to train you all. This certification is really valuable, and increasingly buyers, who are the people that are sourcing agricultural commodities and products, are requiring you to be GAP certified. If you're familiar with the food service industry, there is the food safety handling certification that people have to have in order for them to serve and sell food. That's what this is, very similar for growers. So you do want to have something to protect your farm from the consequences of food contamination, because yes, you could cause a problem. So who should apply for this program? This may not be for you, but if you know someone, we would love for you to share the resources, the application link, even the PowerPoint presentation. The video will be attached into a final email saying thank you. We're looking for a mix of experience. And so if you're a novice or an expert, there's place for you. So we're looking to build a pilot cohort that can really can learn from each other. Your current place of employment and your background doesn't necessarily impact that. It really is your passion for growing, your understanding of what it is that we're trying to do, and your commitment to the mission. We're looking to prioritize growers who have limited resources to monetize their farm or their grow on their own. And so whether that is lack of resources, like educational resources, or lack of network, individuals who are low income and really trying to increase their income through being a top tier grower, this might be for you. The sites must be located in Illinois. Once the pilot project has landed and we get our bearings, we would like to see this grow into the metro area, which goes all the way out to Indiana and as far west as is that west? No, east as Kenosha, Wisconsin. Participants must be willing to commit to in-person workshops, and those will be held at 4911 South Shields at the Learning Center and Farm. Start to wrap it up. And right here, I'm going to, oh yeah, please do fill out the survey link for me. I'll put it in there. The selection process for growers, they're reviewed. There will be an interview process, maybe about 30 minutes, sometimes longer, depending on, the conversation, but we want to honor everyone's time. These will probably be virtual. Also, there is a site visit for those that make it to the next round, where you will walk us through. And again, you will be given the instructions on how to prepare to walk us through and how to talk about your site. So you're not left kind of floundering. We will be directing you to what is required to share with us. And then that's followed by an invitation to join for the pilot program. So as I wrap it up, we want to, again, thank you all for being interested. We would love for you all to consider if this is something that you can accommodate for the 2024 growing season in any way. We want to leverage the land in terms of the amount of land we have. We are not shooting for 25 growers. Like, that's not the model that we're going for. Like, we want 15 or we have this many spaces. We are looking for the best people, and we are willing to work with finding alternatives if your growing space is less than ideal for whatever reason. Maybe you don't feel confident that it's secure. Maybe you want to explore other options for what does it look like to lease land, or work in another location. So we want everybody to think it through about where it would be best to grow. And then also, if you have small businesses, maybe you came thinking like, yeah, I want to grow, but maybe now you're like, I possibly would like to buy. Maybe I want to do both, right? There are models where businesses actually grow their own products. Uncommon Ground is one of the first woman-owned restaurant with its own organic rooftop garden. And so it's located in the community of Rogers Park. They sell mostly seasonal food. So if they can't grow it, they don't sell it. So there are models in which you can both buy and sell. And so if you're one of those people, we would love to have you apply with that mentality. Or if you know someone like, hey, I know you're a chef, this might be an opportunity for you to create your own, tomato sauce. I really want you to meet, Mila and Mr. Howard. We want you to think in that way. So with that, I say thank you, and we'll take questions. Oh, I don't think I put the survey in there. So feel free to come off mute. Or you can place your question in the chat box. And I have just put the link to, it's a 3-question survey.
Well, thank you, Mila. We really appreciate that great presentation. And I'm hoping as we come off of screen sharing, that we can get there you go, we can get you people back up. And now we do have time for questions. Anybody have a question, please unmute yourself and feel free to ask any question, or we're here to answer.
So I have a question. Is this something that you all feel you are ready to take advantage of or ready to apply for? And you can use a thumbs up. You can say yes or no. You can come off mute.
Hi, my name is Ashley. I am interested. I guess my question is, I've been growing for, I think this is my 2nd year now. My question would be, you guys would tell us what we would have to grow, or we can grow what we want?
That is a great question. And so how this program works is we are identifying buyers and what it is that they need. And so that will dictate what we are growing. However, with multiple growers, we're able to pair appropriately, both with skill set and the number, like the size of the space that can accommodate what it is that the buyer wants. So it is more, we are growing what the market is demanding.
Okay, so would our garden have to be full of what the market is demanding, or we can also grow things for our own household on the side?
It is your site. You decide how much land you want to put into this program. If you have a parcel, and on that parcel you want to be a part of the program, and you say, I only want to put 25% of my parcel into this program, then that's the amount of land that we have to work off of. You do not have to use 100% of your land to participate. It is your land. So like a farmer, I could have 300 acres. Guess how much is in production? 5. Guess how much I lease? 10. What do I do with the rest of it? Whatever I want. So we want you all to be empowered with what do you want to do with your land and how you want to practice being a part, being a small business in this way, because it is very different. You cannot use your practices on these commodities. If we have told the buyer there is no commercial fertilizer, right? These are the soil amendments that we're using. They're banking on our process to leverage for them to sell the final product. What you do on your site, right? We might want to talk about, like, if you use commercial fertilizers in some way, now we have to discuss what location can we make sure we don't have drift. Because when you spray something, 50% of it goes immediately into the atmosphere. There's some things we can't control, like you're located next to a golf course, right? Like that will kind of change some things. But if you have practices on your site that are in conflict with what it is that you're trying to do with the products that you're selling, now we have to talk about, how do we landscaping? Is this the appropriate site, or is this something that you want to continue to do?
Okay, thank you.
You're so welcome, and wonderful question.
Okay,
So
good.
Cassandra,
Somebody else have a question?
well, Mr. Howard, I wanted to bring your attention to a comment in the chat box. So I'll read
Okay.
it. Thanks for the information. Currently, I'm looking to work with local growers as we are a loose leaf herbal tea business. Is there a way to stay connected to urban farmers or be a part of the community? Yes, Cassandra, you are someone that we are definitely interested in staying connected with. We would love to learn more about your business, your needs, what it is that you're trying to accomplish. You may be the ideal partner for the 2024 growing season. So I will reach
agree.
out to you.
I agree.
I'll put my information in the chat box.
Okay, then. Anybody else have a question? We're here to answer all questions and if even take suggestions if you think there's something we missed. Be glad to hear from you if you think there's something we should add or take away. We're here for you. Thank you.
So Ashley, to your point, in the little survey, I don't know if you've taken it yet. There is a part that asks about where it is that you plan to grow. There are opportunities to work at Eden Place Farms in the event that you're like, you know what, if you have a residential property and you're like, I want to work closer at the facility. So please do take that survey so we can learn a little bit more about what your preferences are. Maybe you're not even sure where you want to grow. So please, everyone, do complete that. Zandra, beautiful name, or is it Zandra? I'm sorry. I know I arrived a bit late, but what are the requirements to participate? Mr. Howard, do you want to take that one?
Well, basically, currently, we're looking for willing people who really have a vision to grow their growing concern, whatever size it is now. If you can commit to learning how to make it a gap growing concern where you're growing with good agricultural practices and you have commodities that you want to sell so that your farm or your garden becomes a profit center for you and your family, we're willing to work with you. We basically want people that want something, that want to grow something, and that want to work as a collective because it takes 5 fingers to make a hand work. And if you lose one of those fingers, it's an awkward hand that needs to work. But if you have all 5 hands, it's a more powerful instrument to get a job done. So the more we have as a collective of people that have the same mindset, going in the same direction, we want to say, yes, you're more than welcome to come on board.
And so, Mr. Howard, thank you. The site has to be located in Illinois. You currently do not have to have any specific growing knowledge. We do understand that there's a range of agricultural literacy and also entrepreneurial skills. The site, has to have some accessibility to water. We are okay with residential properties as well as plots on community garden lands, as long as your agreement does not stipulate that you cannot sell your products. And so I do know that some nonprofits, that when you decide to grow on their land, that they make you sign an agreement that you're not selling, but you're giving away. So those are some things that I would say. And I also want to lift up the reality of agriculture, just period. Where do you all think that McDonald's gets its grain to make its buns, right? It's not from one farmer, it's from thousands of farmers, right? And so people get a percentage based on what it is that they were able to produce. And you have some farms that can produce lots of grain, and then you have others just a little. But McDonald's still has a need that needs to be met. So these grain collaboratives or these corn collaboratives are made up of multiple growers with varying parcel sizes. And people are we from Chicago, they get in where they fit in, right? And so people are choosing to grow commodities that are also more valuable. We want to identify who's willing to buy, which is why we've taken this route. It's a reason why we're not saying we're going to put this in a farmer's market. You know how much competition there is with just the harvest, and it loses its quality, it loses its vigor. It's increasingly expensive to maintain because you got to refrigerate it, you got to keep the flies off it. It's depreciating in quality. Your profits are getting low. We're looking for a buyer. We're looking for a business that's saying we need, or we would be really happy if we could source at least 50% of our mint for our tea from Chicago, and that can save us 30%. But at the same time, we've employed X number of farmers. But this business model has to be worked through, right? Because there's cost for the land, there's cost for the soil amendments, there's cost for your time. We don't work for free. And so if you can't manage a whole farm and you think, being over ambitious can be your downfall. This pilot project is for people that are curious. What can I do? How do we make the most money, both with what we decide to sell in terms of broker, the number of the amount of growing space? How do I invest in myself so I can grow more efficient, make better decisions, protect the quality of my crop, and then come back with double the land and 4 times the amount of harvest, because now I understand irrigation practices a little bit better. I capture my water bill is lower, right? My pest management strategies include letting my cat outside, or putting up a fence, and I've saved, 30% of my harvest. This is a business. And so we're proud to be a part of moving this conversation of urban agriculture from being anecdotal to actually creating a supply chain for our local businesses from the people in the community that are trying to grow.
Very well said. And basically what you got to understand is that you're not alone. And don't think that you're not big enough, or don't think that you're too big, because basically, as I kind of showed you in the example, it was thousands of small growers that built up their collective where they took over the avocado market, not only in Mexico, but also in America. So you got to think big, people. You got to dream big so that we can make this vision come to fruition. I'm telling you right now, we can do it. We can do it. We can do it. Now, if there's no other questions, I don't want to keep you any longer than I have to. So you better speak up now.
I actually have one more question. So if we like to grow organically, I mean, is that okay? Like, if we don't want to use pesticide, like anything like that, will we be asked to use those things? And if we say no, would there be a problem?
So at this time, our preference is to grow as natural as possible, right? If there are, when it comes to pest management practices, we would like to use non-commercial, right? So whether that's encouraging co-planting, right? Or this is where those good agricultural practices come in. Did you wash your hands before you started touching your transplants? Do you know how to sanitize your tools? Are you going out to your grow, putting your eyes on every single seedling? Who's flecking? What bug do I see, right? And so before we get to the application of any external chemical, whether it's natural or not, we have to put our mindset in the place of protect the plants at all costs, right? Which begins with sterilization, preparing your site, making sure that your shoes and your boots are clean, because we track things around. And so no, it will not be a problem if your preference is to maintain a completely 100% non-commercial free growing space. We welcome that, but we also know, full transparency, that organic products have greater price points, smaller harvests. So the buyer has to understand this is going to cost you more. It's going to cost you more, and you're probably going to have less. And that's only because commercial ways of growing has robbed us of the intuition that this is the capacity of the land, right? The land has a capacity based on how we treat it. And so I'm happy that you asked that, because no, you are not required. Y'all got me
Thank
hyped.
you.
I
Thank
could talk
you.
about this all day. So I have nothing more. I put my information into the chat box. The application is open. If you have any questions, please do reach out. If you have other people that you think might be interested and you want to connect them to me, please do. Feel free to send them both that's my work number, so don't feel bad about sharing that. You can also find me on LinkedIn. And December 2nd is when applications close. We won't spam you, but you will receive a follow-up email, both with the information, our video, the links to the application, and a gentle reminder for please share with your network.
Well, with that said, thank you everybody for coming. We appreciate you. Please let us know soon if you're going to be part of this endeavor, and let us know too if you have any other folks you know that might make good partners. Everybody, thank you for coming. Have a great day. Thank you guys. Take care.
Thank you.